to a brand new Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com as well as Patreon.com/Big V Mafia. I am Virtue, and that, everybody, is Big Vito LaGrasso. What's up?
Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you're all having a great day. I hope Christmas was very, very pleasant for everybody. No drama, good times, good food, good gifts. Working our way to the new year, and hopefully everybody will get what they want, coming up. Back in the gym today, hanging and banging, working on my way to 2022 and being on TV. It's coming. It's going to happen. My mind is set. I'm ready.
Good. Well, one of our topics is let's just go ahead and start with this one. In wrestling, just I guess you could pick, whatever part of wrestling you want, but what was your favorite thing in 2021? I mean, it could have been returning to the ring for yourself. That's fine. And does anything stick out? Do you have a couple things?
Returning to the ring was a big thing for me on a personal level, on a career level, because not everybody knows. I mean, Virtue knows. I stopped wrestling because I've been taking care of my wife all this time, and I'm gonna have a big interview on Bill Apter's on One Wrestling about this and why I stopped wrestling and why things happen. And TikTok has been blowing up with my videos. I'm up to over 70,000 views on TikTok. Sportskeeda is going to be covering this. It's going to be something big. My goal is to be on TV in 2022, resume my career. And it's a good story. It's an inspirational story. I guess when you talk about looking at what happened in wrestling this year, I guess the uprising of AEW causing a stir, not necessarily saying that the number one spot.
But like with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson?
I'd say overall them having, some bang for the buck, bringing some attention to themselves and doing a fine job of it in 2021. I think that was a positive. WWE making money hand over fist. Now, I'm not saying for myself, but as a business person, if you're finding diverse ways to incorporate new ways to make money for your company as an entrepreneur, you are doing a fabulous job. And the corporation of Titan Sports and the WWE has come up with a mastermind plan to make money hand over fist. So I look at those two things as being big things, WWE making a whole new concept and the AEW making a big enough noise to be heard in the wrestling world.
For me, it was probably, in saying it now with COVID coming back, it's kind of maybe a moot point, but was getting back in front of live crowds. And WWE did it at WrestleMania with the 2 nights, because it does make a difference with the presentation on television as a viewer. When you're watching these shows with no fans there or the wrestlers around the ring making noise, it really takes you out of the element. I mean, WWE did their whole Thunderdome thing, and that changed it up a little bit. So that was a positive. But, here we are. Are we going to go back to that at some point, Vito, with this recent outbreak of Omicron or whatever the new COVID is?
It's a tough thing to look at and a tough thing to judge right now. And for everybody's safety out there, let's think about this, out of the box. Holidays, being able to travel, exposing yourself in big groups and going places. It brought it back because not everybody's vaccinated, not everybody's taking care of themselves. So that is why it has come back into our world, and people are now, if you look at the airlines, everything has stopped. Everything has stopped.
Look at sports. I swear there's more protocols now are being out due to health protocol than last year.
The NBA alone, I've never seen guys. They are down half their rosters and half their teams. NFL games, the hockey season has stopped. Guys, it's a serious thing. The one thing I gotta say is, baseball hasn't started yet. What will baseball do? Will they go to no crowds and play this season?
I
Something
mean,
to
that's a
think
good
about.
point. Like, it's a good point. I know numbers overall have favored of COVID not being as serious for the masses, being able to get over it. There's still that percent that is vulnerable, that can get sick, potentially die. And I get it, Vito. So I'm not going to get into the politics of that, as you've probably seen me on Twitter recently. But regardless, right? Anytime you're sick or you feel sick, no matter what year, what era, you shouldn't be around people and spread it. Like
No, you're
that.
right.
That's been common sense for a long time. So,
So news watch. Seth Rollins, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, all missing the show at Madison Square Garden right now.
uh-oh.
WWE flew in Edge at the last minute. His first house show appearance since 2011.
Can you say Omicron?
I could say this is a deadly disease, and everybody better start driving to the shows.
So I don't know, Vito, but like wrestling did get back to kind of somewhat normalcy in 2021, and some of our big exciting things that happened will be one of our topics tonight. So I guess we'll just move on. Do
Okay.
you have, before we move on to any more of the topics I picked, did you have anything on your mind that you saw in the news that you want to go over? You know how I always ask you this every Getting Color. If you don't, that's fine.
I just think that everybody was. It just didn't seem like Christmas this year. And I think everybody was worried about health and work and surviving. And I don't think Christmas was a priority.
I kind of feel that. Like we just went through the motions.
Yes. And even though I took a TikTok today video of my neighborhood and I looked at the beautiful neighborhood because they do a beautiful thing over here. And I love driving through. And it just wasn't Christmas this year. It really, truly, no matter how many gifts you exchange or what you do, it just was not the feeling of Christmas. I think everybody was exhausted from this past year, work,
Yeah.
jobs, surviving, new president. We're in a slump as far as world economics. I think watching sports and just the overall world concept just took the flight out of Christmas. That's my opinion.
Well, the new year is coming, Vito, so we'll keep our fingers crossed,
Okay.
Now, remember before we talked about Charlotte and Andrade were we did say allegedly, broken
Legend.
up. Now, allegedly, they're still together. So, it's interesting, though, because they were really showing a lot of pictures online with each other, even though they were in different promotions. So that's why it was easy to believe that they broke up, because that kind of went away. Do you think that's work related because of Charlotte being in WWE? And then I have one other question regarding couples in the wrestling business. But like, what do you think? Like, it made me think they broke up because they kind of stopped their lovey-lovey tweeting. And
I gotta
Instagram.
tell you something. I've said this before on Getting Color, and I want everybody to listen closely. Why would you jeopardize your job by posting pictures of you in another organization, the rival, with your significant other? It's like you're shoving it up their face, shoving it up their ass. Hey, I want to be here. You're doing a ha ha. Business is business. You work for a company, you don't go to the other company's shows. That is just protocol, a hidden brotherhood thing. It's a wrestling code. You don't go to other people's shows. You don't go to the rival show. You don't see the guys in WWE go to WCW shows and WCW go to WWE shows. Didn't happen. And seeing this and wearing the hats and doing all these things, the social media, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, not just on social media, but your bosses, the offices, people in the company. They might not say it to your face, but if you're representing, I play basketball for the Knicks. I am a Knick through and through.
Hey, at
But
least
here,
they did one on Christmas.
yeah, they did, and it was awesome. Kemba Walker, triple double. I was at the end of the bench. I was waiting to get in the game, but it just didn't happen.
You know, I know this isn't basketball discussion. You notice they went on that losing streak where they kind of slipped under 500 during those games. He was benched. I'm just saying. I don't.
No, you're right. You're right. But hindsight, that lit a fire under his ass. Was
Yeah.
maybe the coach seen something. Okay, you don't want to work hard? Sit down. Hey, I'm a fan of that. I'm a coach of that. That's the way I can. You don't want to play? Sit down. Now that I got your attention, now you're going to play. But anyway, like we were talking about,
Yeah.
you don't go. ECW didn't go to WCW house shows. ECW didn't go to WWE house shows. It was a common law. You did not do it. God forbid. Now think about this. Hulk Hogan in his heyday, biggest star here in the WWF, shows up to go have coffee with Ric Flair in WCW backstage. What would the world think? My thought exactly, right there.
Yep.
You know?
Now, Vito, just in general, I guess whether you work for the same company or your couples working for different company, how does that go with life on the road? I mean, you say if you're a married wrestler and you have a family at home, temptation on the road, right? And I get that. So is that why maybe a lot of these workers are drawn to each other because they're both living the same lifestyle?
Things happen. I mean, you can't control who you fall in love with or who you have a relationship with, Life on the road. Rule number one, something I abided by is something that I believed in strongly. Never sleep with the workers who are female in the business. It's a bad juju because they are your coworkers. They're like your sisters. They're like your, they're your brother. They're your sister. They're your family. You don't shit where you eat as far as that goes, because what happens when you guys have a fight and you break up? And I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
It's ugly. It's not cool. It's cool. I could tell you, and this is true story. I am not going to give names. I went to people's houses and I walk in and I'm like, wow. And they say, hey, Vito, how you doing? And I was friends with every single diva. They all hugged and kissed me to, respect. And you could ask anybody. He's probably the most respectful guy out there. And never said a word. I said, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Oh, I said, yeah, I got you. I got you. But you're not going to. I says, nope. I said, this is my brother here. Whatever goes on stays here. And the tough thing is when you see the other side of it, that they have another relationship.
Yeah.
And you can't say anything because you got loyalty, and then you're trying to be loyal to your buddy. But what do? You're caught in the middle. You just mind your business. You look the other way.
And that's nuts. And there's a lot of relationships in wrestling today. So
Yeah, there is.
a lot, like probably a majority of them.
But you know what? It just goes with the territory. If you can keep it on the QT and you can handle it and you don't flash it in front of people, and if you do go home and they take the same flight and they go to your apartment or house and you're not out there socializing, social mediaing, just keeping on the DL, it could work. But if you're out there showcasing, Facebooking, doing this, doing that, it's going to blow up in your face and it's not going to be good.
Yeah, the latest like rumors or the whole Tay Conti, Sammy Guevara thing, who recently just broke off his engagement. And there you have it. I mean, we don't know, but it brings that type of drama into where it doesn't need to be.
It's funny. I'm not keeping up with Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti, right? But
yeah, well, me either. But I saw.
I didn't know he was engaged to another female.
Yep.
And here he is doing his thing, enjoying life, superstar, championship, being careless. Now, there was another gentleman by the name of Seth Rollins who was having an affair and he was playing both sides of the coin. And all of a sudden, all these dick pics come up and everything happens. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Not cool. And then I think there was another one. Who was the other one who got exposed?
I'm not sure on that, but there was stuff with Riddle. There was stuff with Paige and New Day, and there was all kinds of.
Seth Rollins, you got. Let's go with Paige and Alberto Del Rio. Right now, Alberto Del Rio all of a sudden is saying, "I got this." He's still going, but you're not relevant. And you know what? I think it's horrible that you're still bringing this shit up, and it's years ago. Not to mention that her contract is expiring at the end of this year. And she didn't sign a contract extension. So is she leaving? Is she staying? Is he trying to mess up her deal? Sucks. It sucks. Yep. Then, of course, you have Riddle, right? Who's married guy. On paper, he had beautiful family, beautiful kids, right? You look at that guy coming up, taking care of his, made the move. And then he had something with one of the girls. It didn't work out right. Rumor had it he went to WrestleMania with the chick. You're flaunting it. You're flaunting it.
Crazy world out there, Vito, man. No, I'm telling you.
It's not cool. I hate to say it, but if you're in the business and you're going to do stuff, not that it's right or wrong, I'm not in nobody else's personal life, but don't flaunt it. Keep it down low. Do your thing. Save the other people some disgrace and some hurt. And if you are going to be with somebody else, break up. And then you don't have a problem.
That's true. There you go. Or just stay a bachelor. Were you a bachelor most of your wrestling career? I know you met Noelle near the end of it, but
just to keep it safe. Bachelor. It wasn't about keeping it safe. I broke up with my first wife, and that's when my career took off because I was trying to do everything, live a life, be on the road, work in territories. Then once I broke off from her, that's when I took off.
Yeah.
And I was single. So, but I was with other women. But once I got to that bachelor life, I just said, you know what, this is better. And, I did what I wanted, came home when I wanted, did what I wanted. But Vito LaGrasso did what he wanted anyway. I had the double okay instead of one okay. So
yeah, nothing wrong with that, man.
Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, live my life. You know what I'm saying? Live my life.
We'll move on here. And we're going to go talk about Tony Khan because I don't know if you and I necessarily did over this topic. I know we did over on No DQ. But is this good? Is it good or bad for Tony Khan, the owner of the company, to be as active as he is with media and dirt sheets? And when I say that, Vito, I'm not talking about promoting is fine, right? Promoting is the number one part of the business.
Right.
I'm talking about deep diving, letting that fourth wall down, opening the curtain up to any podcast, any dirt sheet writer, and defending he doesn't take criticism either. You think he should have other people out there doing that? I know Russo said, Tony, you should step back and maybe not do as many interviews and have some of your wrestlers try to get over that way. What's your take on that? Because he's really active compared to what Vince McMahon and how Vince McMahon operates as an owner.
Guys, when you're talking about the era of where I wrestled and what it was, kayfabe was a big part of it. Okay, you talk about the territories and what social media they had. Now I want you to follow the bouncing ball. Vince McMahon, Vince Senior. Okay, you have Jerry Lawler, you have Jim Cornette, you had Jack Veneno, Carlos Colon, Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, uh, Jeff Jarrett, the other owner of Impact, the female, Dixie Carter. Okay. Now, I'd say for the men, they all upheld kayfabe. They didn't mesh in the media unless they absolutely had to. Dixie Carter was the new breed of owner who exposed the business a little further, but didn't go to the extremes of Tony Khan. Tony Khan doing this, he's an involved owner in a different era of wrestling. Is it right or is it wrong? Is there a code of ethics? Is there kayfabe when you do this? Do you protect the business? Like you work in Disney, you protect the magic. I'm going to step it back. Do you protect, the business? Protecting the business has kind of lost its art form. So being in this time frame, Tony Khan is going out there and is doing the social media and the booking and the cutting and the editing and the interviews and everything. He's putting himself out there. It's just like being in the mafia when they, if you ever watch Gotti or John Gotti movies and they said John is putting himself in this. He's on the cover of Life magazine. He's on the cover of the paper. John Gotti, John Gotti, John Gotti. What happened to John Gotti? He died in jail. So Tony Khan doing, he's bringing news and attention to his organization. Good, but are you exposing the business?
It's like he wants people to know how much he knows. Like, you know what I mean? Where I don't care how much you know or you might not know about the business. Just keep it under wraps, right? Like, stay behind the scenes and I just have a problem with that. It's like he wants to become.
But you know what it is too?
Ego. It's ego.
Now, I'm gonna defend him in this way. And everybody out there, I'm not defending Tony Khan because I want something. I want everybody to look at it from where I'm looking at it, right? Tony Khan is not a wrestling person. He didn't grow up in a wrestling industry the way Vito LaGrasso did. Yeah. He didn't learn from the bottom up what the right culture is, what the wrong culture is, what's right and what's wrong, what's kayfabe and what's exposing the business. He admits that he grew up a fan and his dream was to own a wrestling company. It's out there. I just read this just the other day, because I do read some of his stuff, just for knowledge and to see where he's at. So on one hand, you say, okay, I understand the guy's dream and he's living his dream and he wants to go out there and he wants to flourish. Does he know all the rules of the game? I don't think so. Maybe not. But it's his dream. So, and who is anybody out there to shit in his bowl of Cheerios? It's nobody's business. It's his money. He's doing it his way. Will he succeed or will he fail? We will see.
Yeah, now I mean, like, I don't mind him like doing what he does. I just wish he put a cloak over it and not have to have it out there. Like, just like it doesn't need to be, because it takes away from the wrestling product to me. Because now it's all about what's Tony Khan doing. And like you hear Dave Meltzer and everybody that talks about AEW, putting it over. And I think it takes away from the wrestlers to me.
Yeah, but if Vince McMahon was doing this approach, how
Which
many
he
more?
wouldn't.
Which he
But
wouldn't, but if he
yeah,
did, how many more friends would Vince McMahon have?
a lot.
Well, a lot, right? So, but Vince McMahon is worth $2.1 billion. And when you are that high up on the food chain, you don't let everybody around you. You keep your business to yourself.
Well, Tony Khan's a billionaire by his dad.
But Tony Khan is doing this his way. But will he learn eventually to pull back the reins and let his staff do the work for him and be that mafia boss sitting back?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I like tradition, old school, the way businesses operate in that way. And you come out during certain times, but like I just feel he's out there so much, I can't even keep up with it. It's like Tony Khan this, Tony Khan that. It's like,
The,
whoa.
the thing I think that everybody's missing here is that they're changing stations. Is that true?
Well, remember they're going from TNT to TBS, so it's still on Turner, but Turner's gonna have more of the sports events on TNT, so that's why wrestling's going to TBS, which they're equal pretty much. I mean, TBS might be available in more households technically, but they're pretty common cable channels.
When
Most
I
cable
was at
packages.
WCW, TBS, the Superstation 605,
Yeah,
WCW.
that was wrestling channel.
Now it's wrestling channel. So they're going back to a wrestling channel. They're not necessarily TNT to me is basketball and football. You don't put wrestling. When I hear TBS, I see WCW.
Well, and that's true. And they had Thunder on TBS as well, but like Nitro was on TNT.
Exactly.
So, and that was when wrestling was at its most popular, at least for television.
Right.
So, but that to me is six of one, half a dozen of the other.
Guys, everybody could be critical of WWE and what their budget cuts are, and Nick Khan and the way they're doing business. And then everybody could be critical of AEW and Tony Khan of how he's doing business. But the thing is, they're both in business. And everybody who was in business now works for either Vince McMahon or Tony Khan.
It's a good point.
This is just the formula that is formulated. There will be a new wrestling promotion, and there will be a new owner, and he'll look at Vince McMahon, he'll look at Tony Khan, he'll look at Dixie Carter, right? Vince McMahon has been in business for 50 years. Tony Khan is the new kid on the block. Dixie Carter is out of business. Jeff Barrett is out of business. Paul Heyman is out of business. Jerry Lawler is out of business. Carlos Colon is barely in business. Jack Veneno has passed away. Right? Jim Cornette isn't in the promoting business, but he does podcasting. So you look at that, what's left.
Yep.
That's a big thing I just said, guys. That's wrestling knowledge and being in the in. And then for a small sample, XWF and Hulk Hogan was there, and they didn't last not more than 6 months.
Yeah, it's tough to survive there. Now, before we go,
right?
Saturday, day one, WWE, and it's going to be Roman Reigns defending the Universal title against Brock Lesnar. And currently, Paul Heyman is not associated with anybody because on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, Roman released him from his council. Now, I know you've been clamoring for Lesnar. I already know what your prediction is. So go ahead before I say what I'm going to say. But go ahead and speak your piece on what's going to happen this Saturday.
Heyman is going to be the deciding factor.
And that's it? You're going to
Heyman is going to be the deciding factor.
So are you going with Lesnar winning the title like you've been clamoring about?
I'm going to leave it for a suspenseful ending
Okay.
where Heyman is going to decide it.
And I will just go ahead and flat out tell you what's on my mind.
No, I
You're
know what's
right.
on your mind.
You're right. Heyman is going to decide it because this is all a swerve, and Roman Reigns will remain champion. And again, if he does, here's what I think. They're going to have the dusty finisher, the swerve, so Lesnar can say, hey, come on, man, give me a fair advantage. This match most likely will happen at WrestleMania. Whether they try to, I hope they don't put Drew McIntyre in there, Vito, and make it a triple threat.
No.
This is when I think WrestleMania is when I think Reigns would lose it and then take his time off for the summer, because that just the timing of all that makes sense to me for how Roman kind of operates with taking his time off. Remember when he went home during the pandemic, was out for a few months, came back at SummerSlam. So this is how I'm calling it. Swerve, Heyman still aligns with Reigns. We get to WrestleMania somehow. Roman loses the title, takes time off. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. It's a good thing.
See. Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Virtue, great show. Close the show.
Well, be sure to follow Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. Follow me at NoDQ_Virtue. But this has been Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And also check out Patreon.com/Big V Mafia. For Big Vito LaGrasso, I am Virtue. We will see you again next time.